Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the DJI Mini 2. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, a while back I did a review on the DJI Tello, and I was not a fan of that drone. I'll leave a link in the description if you do want to check out the review. Mind you, the Tello was only $100, which is not very expensive when it comes to drones. I realized my expectations for the Tello might have been a little bit too high, so I decided to see what would happen if I invested maybe a little bit more for a better quality drone. And by a little bit more, I mean a lot more. The Mini 2 is coming in at 4.5 times the price, $449. Now the Mini 2 boasts some interesting features. It has a 31-minute maximum flight time, 10 kilometers at 720p video transmission, level 5 wind resistance, 4K ultra clear video, and intelligent modes. It's also less than 249 grams, which means in a lot of places you don't need a special license to operate this. When I decided to pick up the Mini 2, I went for the Fly More combo. This comes in at $600, an extra $150 over the standard price of the Mini 2. And this is because it comes with a couple extra batteries, the charging hub, some extra propellers, and some more goodies. When it's advertised as having 31 minutes of flight time, I take that as probably under ideal conditions and not filming in 4K. So having a few extra batteries and a way to charge them on the fly is definitely something I was looking forward to. On top of that, I did break a few propellers on the DJI Tello, so having a few extra propellers for the Mini 2 seemed like a smart choice for me. One thing that's not really talked about a whole lot is the fact that you'll also need to pick up a microSD card, and a pretty fast microSD card at that. You'll need at least a UHS Class 3. Fortunately for me, I did have a few of these laying around since I do use these in my GoPros, in my phones, and in my Raspberry Pis. But if you have an older microSD card, or if you need a microSD card, I'd recommend picking up the SanDisk Extreme. I haven't been let down by one of these yet, and I have used a lot of microSD cards over the years. Usually it's SanDisk or Samsung, those are the two brands I recommend. Getting the Mini 2 up and running was pretty simple and straightforward. I made sure the battery was fully charged, I made sure the controller was fully charged, and on my phone I downloaded and installed the DJI Fly App. Now I use an Android device, and when I initially installed the Fly App on my phone, it was available right on the Google Play Store. But when I checked for this video, I actually couldn't find it for some reason, and that's a little bit concerning. If you do need the DJI Fly App, and you probably will, you'll have to check out the DJI website and download it manually. So you download it from this website and install it on your phone manually, which is a bit of a pain and also a bit of a red flag. I don't know why it's no longer on the Play Store. If we're lucky in the future, it will be available on the Play Store, but right now it's a pretty big inconvenience. DJI, if you're watching this video, get your stuff together here. Make it available on the Play Store, make it easy for the consumer. I was very impressed with the DJI Fly App overall. It connected to the drone without any issues, and it didn't crash on me. There are a ton of options in this app, including safety options. For example, if someone's flying your drone and you don't want them to fly it too far away, you can limit how far this will fly. On top of that, if you're flying it in an area that has a maximum altitude, you can set that maximum altitude so you don't accidentally fly over it. They also have the option to find your drone in case you accidentally crash it somewhere and are having trouble finding it. On the control tab, you can do things like adjust how your controller functions, and you can also do a flight tutorial if you're not completely sure how to use the drone. From here, you can also recalibrate or recenter the gimbal if it's not functioning the way you want. In the camera tab, you can tweak video settings or camera settings. And in the transmission tab, you can configure the communication between your drone and the controller just in case you're having issues. I do recommend periodically checking the app for firmware updates. These firmware updates usually improve the performance of the drone. For example, in one of the recent firmware updates, they added additional video modes. You can now do 60 frames a second at 2.7K. To test out the video capabilities of this drone, I recorded in 3 different settings. I recorded in 1080p 60 frames a second, 2.7K at 30 frames a second, and 4K at 30 frames a second. I didn't realize I needed to download the non-Google Play Store of this app to get 2.7K at 60 frames a second, so unfortunately when I was recording, I did not have that option. All of these recordings were done on fairly windy days and sub-zero temperatures in Canada. Temperatures ranged from -5 to about -15 degrees Celsius. Now I'll go over what I liked and what I didn't like about the Mini 2, and I'll start out with what I didn't like. First and foremost, I didn't like the battery life on this. It's advertised at 31 minutes, and I got nowhere near that. Mind you, I was testing in pretty inclement weather and also pretty extreme conditions for the drone. But again, the app was very misleading. It said I had about 88% battery life left with about 23, 24, 25 minutes remaining. And this was definitely not the case. This could lead to some pretty big problems. For example, maybe the app says you have 20 minutes left to go on the battery, so you decide to send the drone way out to get some great footage. As you send the drone way out, the battery level immediately drops to maybe 5 minutes left to go. That is not good. Yes, the drone does have a return to home feature, but I found that this wasn't perfect. For example, in this scenario behind me, which I'm about to show you, I was trying to manually land the drone because the battery was pretty much dead. What ended up happening as I was lowering the drone, the return to home command completely overrode what I was doing and shot the drone way up into the air. This was very unsettling because the drone was kind of just sitting up there and I had to manually take everything over again to land it. So my advice here is just to have a fully charged backup battery in the event that your drone tears through the first one. The second thing I didn't like about the drone isn't necessarily with the drone, but it's with the app, and I kind of wish the official app was available on the Google Play Store instead of having to download the APK from the website. I hope DJI fixes this relatively soon, but this is a major annoyance. And the last thing that I didn't really like about this has to do with the controller, and it's really one part of the controller, and that's the cable that connects the controller to the phone. It's relatively short. I would have liked to have seen it maybe a couple inches longer just for some additional flexibility. Now those are the three main complaints I have about this drone. I would have liked to have seen 4K at 60 frames a second as well, but at the same time at this price point, it's kind of understandable. Now let's go over what I liked about this drone, and there are a lot of things here. First and foremost is the 249-gram weight. This means in a lot of places you don't require a drone license in order to use it. Some places you do, but it'll vary based on where you are. Next up, the Mini 2 is relatively fast and pretty easy to control for the average user. It can ascend very fast, it can descend very fast. On top of that, the gimbal is very steady. It handled wind extremely well and video remains steady in high winds. On top of that, it says the operating temperature is 0 to 40 degrees Celsius. I was operating this at well below 0 and it performed extremely well. I like the overall quality of the video recordings and it was very easy to switch between different modes. I do recommend recording at 60 frames a second, either in 1080p or 2.7K, because I think that gives the smoothest video. I really don't recommend landing this drone on a beach. If you do, put down a towel or something for the drone to land on. I had this land directly on the sand and I've been picking sand out of this thing since. Is the Mini 2 the best drone on the market? The answer to that is no, but at the same time here, the price to performance ratio of this is extremely hard to beat. DJI has put an incredible package together here. If you're looking to film for some vlogs or just for some personal use, I'd highly recommend checking this out. If you're looking for something a little bit beefier, you can check out the Mavic Air 2, but then again, it's almost double the price. If you want to see some more footage from the Mini 2, head over to my wife's channel, The Average Tourist. From time to time, you will see some drone shots there. But anyways, that is all I've got for today. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on the Mini 2. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Thank you everyone, take care.